Hello, we're Latvian Diaries Abroad. I'm Liggy,
And I'm Kitty.
and today we're gonna talk about grief and life beyond it.
And we think we are suitable people to talk about it because I have lost my dad 5.5 years ago. And Liggy?
Uh, and and I have lost my grandma 10 years ago, and my grandpa about 13 years ago. Um, and I don't know, we just felt like we should talk about it because grief is a big part of us, and it has changed us and molded into people we are today. So we just thought it would be nice. Well, not nice, but it's something that it is important to talk about.
Yes, I agree because quite often it is how people say it. Until you experience it yourself, you never really truly understand it. Like, you can sympathize and empathize, but it's still like it's a bit different, I think, than
Yes.
experiencing it
Yes.
yourself. Okay.
So, do you wanna maybe tell us how does grief feel like for you?
Yes. So I'd say the early stages were that I couldn't really understand what happened, how is it possible? Like I just couldn't really wrap my head around the fact that I have lost my dad. Um, I still like for the first few days I would also have like some slight hope because the circumstances that my dad died are really tragic, and it there was a slight hope that maybe it wasn't him that died in that place where this tragic event occurred. Um, so I would say after the first day or two or maybe three, I was kind of still hoping that maybe it wasn't him there. Um, Obviously I received my a call from my family. I received a lot of calls actually, and I woke up and I called them back and I got the bad news that we probably lost our dad. Um, and well, I was definitely very shocked, and I took like a day off uni, told my tutor what happened, sort of. I think I just said, "Oh, there's a tragic event that happened in our family," so I don't think I can attend the classes now. Obviously, she asked more questions, but I think initially I didn't really want to answer it at all. So that was a very weird period, very sad. I was crying a lot, but at the same time, I wasn't really like I didn't have this feeling that like he's gone. I couldn't. I just. I didn't like it. Didn't feel like it, and even now, to be fair, I don't think there is this feeling the person is gone. It just doesn't like it doesn't exist. Because yeah, it just seems like they're not here. Like they're not around you, but they might be somewhere else, kind of thing.
Yeah, it
Like
feels like they're just on a like forever holiday in a
yeah,
way.
yeah, they're
Yes.
somewhere, but you never really see them, kind of thing. So yeah, it took me a while, I think, and then to be fair, I tried not to think about it after that. Like I just tried. I wouldn't say I tried. I was just not thinking about it like that much. I was studying. I was going out a lot. Obviously, I think when I was drinking, and I would after that event basically every time I would be drinking and over drinking, I would be at this stage where I'm crying a lot. So I guess I would, yeah, that's how it kind of came through as well. But at the same time, at the time when I was crying quite often, I was more upset about the fact that I didn't get like some boy's attention or something instead of like really thinking about my dad. So I don't think like in my head at the time it definitely did not connect. But when I was working with therapist, it seems like I was working through that grief with something that makes more sense, something that's like here right now. Um, and I guess I can see that. I can see that. And then for like yeah, for the rest of the uni time, I didn't really. I didn't really talk to anyone. I didn't really. I don't know. I didn't. It, I didn't know how to, like, I didn't feel the need that I had to work with it. I was just not thinking about it. But like, it's not it's not really working with it, is it? So after uni, I moved away, and I think a lot of things, like it was after COVID, it was me moving away, it was a new job and full time job. It was like all kinds of new things happening in my life, and it just all collected together, and like it was like an explosion that led me to be, I don't know, having a emotional breakdown and not being able to really like work through it on my own. So I got some therapy help. So yeah, that's, and now grief feels like, I don't know, I just have this person that I'll never see again. But no, here we go. A little bit of tears. But I don't like, I think like I think well of my dad, and I hope he's in a better place now. What about you, Liggy? How does grief feel for you?
Um, I didn't I didn't quite know. I know that I think about death quite often. Um, and I know that scientifically it's just like that's it. Just like we came into the world, we got taken away, and like you didn't exist before and you don't exist afterwards, and it's something that it's hard to comprehend, um, because our brains just don't know how it is to have nothing. For me, example, I can never, my brain is never quiet. There's always some thought happening in my brain, so it's just like bizarre to like to imagine that there's nothing and the person doesn't exist and that they don't breathe ever again, and it's just, yeah, bizarre. But for me, the circumstances were different because my grandpa had cancer, so we kind of like, my family kind of knew that he's gonna pass away soon because he was getting more and more ill. And when he passed, I remember I was sad, but I wasn't like upset or like, obviously I was upset, but it didn't like destroy me. I was just like, okay, my grandpa has died. And then I, after the funeral, I don't think I thought of him often at all because we never had a close relationship, and I saw how much it affected my mother, but it didn't really affect me. And I think it also had to do with my age because I might have been like 12 when he passed. So it just, yeah, it just didn't, I don't know, it feels like, if I feel so bad saying it, but it felt like his death didn't have a big impact on my life, which sometimes, even to this day, I feel guilty about because he was my grandpa. He, I saw him often, and obviously he raised me, and he was around a lot. And because of him, I know a few card games that I don't know. It's just bizarre how I still feel guilty about the fact that I never properly grieved him. Um, but when my grandma died, that destroyed me, because it didn't happen suddenly, but it also happened suddenly. So on her birthday, she got uh like an infarct or something, like just a blood clot in her brain, and she couldn't talk and she couldn't walk, and like she had to relearn all those things, and then she's like, that was sudden for us, and then she kind of regained those abilities and she worked on them, and then she suddenly got worse again, and then when she got worse, we all had this feeling that she's giving up. And it was very hard to see her like that because she was frustrated because she couldn't communicate to us. She couldn't even go to the toilet by herself, and she's always been the caretaker of the family, like always running around even in after like her retirement. And I apologize for saying like too much. I notice it myself nowadays after editing the last few episodes. um but yes, it was just, it was hard to see her like that. So in her final days, we knew it. it is her final days, because she had less energy. She didn't want anybody around her, and my last memories of her, like before she passed, um, she was crying because she was not okay and she was in a lot of pain. And I remember I sat on her bed and I was not okay because I knew it's gonna happen and I knew that it would destroy me because like she meant the world to me. Um, and I sat on her bed and I didn't know what to say because you're not prepared, and I was still like a child. I think I was 15, maybe 14. Like I was quite, so 10 years ago I was 15. Um, and it was just hard, because nobody like prepares you for a death of a family member. And I sat on the bed and I didn't know what to say, so I just sang her the songs that she sang to me when I was a child. And then I just cuddled her and we just sang these songs and both cried. And it was like this, I don't know, a full circle moment. And even now thinking about it, it just makes me cry. And I hope that I can teach my children these songs because they just like remind me of her and they just mean so much to me. Um, and I remember after she died, it was just hard because it just didn't make sense because she was like always so energetic and she always took care of everybody, and then to think that that person that doesn't exist anymore. And I think for a while after that, I definitely also just like pretended that didn't happen. I just pretended that, oh, she's just far away. She's just far away. And then each year, as her birthday comes around, I get so depressed because I keep thinking of her. And each year, I write her a poem and I think of her. And it does get easier, but it doesn't get easier as well. It just, you just get used to hurting when thinking of them. I guess that's my way of how to describe grief.
Yeah. Wow. Intense. That is intense. Yeah, I think, yeah, the more years pass, it's more like either certain dates you kind of start thinking about these people, or it's just sometimes it's just a random thought, you know, like kind of like either reminds you of that person, or you would be like, oh, they would laugh about it, or they would say some certain jokes, like it would just, uh, yeah, it would be just, I don't know, just some regular random day to day things that you kind of you notice it yourself that, oh yeah, I think about this person, but like at that moment it might not even be that painful. It's actually even a positive way kind of a thing. I don't know if it makes sense. It would be, I can't even remember. I think every time, not every time, something about driving, for example, for me, I always thought my dad would be the one who would teach me how to drive. um so certain things like relating to driving and cars, it kind of reminds me of him. That might be a bit more painful memory, not memory, a thought. Um, but then I don't even know. Like nothing specific comes to my mind. But I know there have been times where we're like, oh yeah, I know. Like Dad would be really like he would really enjoy this. Like he would find this funny, or like he would say certain phrases in certain situations, and then I'd be like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
for me that happens with cooking, because my grandma cooked,
yeah.
and like I'm sometimes like jealously upset that I will never know the recipes.
Oh.
So when I'm cooking and I get reminded of something that like, oh, her kitchen smelled like that, or like, oh, she loved the taste of this. It just, yeah, it just kind of, it's not like a bad feeling. It it's just like a sad love, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah.
If that
Or is it
helps
like
describing it.
bittersweet but love version of it? I think.
Yes.
Yeah. That's crazy. It's okay. I feel like we're doing well so far, to be fair.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not saying that we can't cry, but it's just, once we start crying, it might be a bit different audio quality, so please don't judge us.
Yeah, please don't judge us.
Yeah. Ah. But, yeah. I just want to say I do remember your grandma as a very loving, positive person. Every time we visited her place and stuff, we all were like we were kind of hanging out with each other, but she was there, you know. She would ask us if we want anything or like make something for us and like not in a disruptive way. Like she was there like a loving presence. I don't know. It's such a
Yes, yes.
it's yeah. It was such a lovely person.
So is your dad. Like, I don't know, he was a character, but he was always so upbeat, so positive, and it didn't matter like if things were going wrong.
Oh
He was
yeah.
just always happy and cheerful and always trying to cheer everybody else up, and his like positivity, it was so, I don't know, like it just transferred onto everybody else as well. I remember that like if I ever was sad and like he walked in the room or like he was just there, I was instantly slightly more happier.
Yeah, I think yeah he was trying, like he was trying it. I'm sure for himself, but yeah, for everyone else as well. I don't know. Like it's a very interesting way how he did it. I don't even. Yeah, that's just him, really. I think he probably found it like a way how to deal with some other situations by trying to be very positive. But he would have these like sayings like, it's gonna be a lot weird, but vi spos bombas, vai vi ser bombas, yeah,
Oh
or
yes,
vai vi ser
he
chicken.
said that a lot.
And that's just such a it's such a like a cute, funny but very positive, uplifting saying that everything's gonna be fine. But like in
Yeah.
English, it sounds a bit more like eh. So yeah. Yeah. These people, huh? Anyways, we do have some questions that we can go through, but I think there's something else that comes to my mind right now. We slightly covered it, I guess. Not really. It is kind of like your memories about this person, but also what do you think? Because that has come to my mind a couple of times. What are the things do you, I guess, regret that your grandma isn't gonna be there for you, or just not gonna like see you, or like experience certain things with you? Like, are there anything? Is
Oh,
there
this
anything?
question is gonna make me
Oh,
cry.
I know. This is a sad
um,
one because it hits really deep.
yeah, I don't know. Like in short, every day. Like I regret that she isn't here every day. Um, because I wish like this adult version of me got the chance to like sit down and speak to her, and I wish she would have known like me now, because I feel like she maybe would have been, I know she would have been proud. Because I feel like when I was a teenager, like a lot of children, I was kind of hiding myself away, and I don't know. And my family situation was awful and awkward, so I didn't actually see her that much before she like passed and got ill. And then suddenly we started spending a lot of time there, and I'm like grateful that I have these like part few memories of her, like singing to her and things like that. I wish I said I love her, because in typical Latvian tradition, we obviously don't say these things to
Yeah.
family members or anybody really, unless it's like your lifelong partner and you're married for 70 years.
But
But
yeah, but even
yeah,
then, I think it wasn't like that spoken. Like it would be like you
no,
kind of know that you love these people, but you don't really. I don't know, like the saying. Yeah, the word affirmations definitely isn't a big thing.
yes, yes, you definitely show it more. But then again, how? like I know that like she knew, but how can I be 100% sure she knew? But then again, I'm just overthinking it, and I know that she knew, just like I know that she loved me. Um, but like in the future, I wish I could have a chat right now with her about what I want to do with life. Because at this moment, I'm like, should I start studying much? Shouldn't I? And I feel like she would have really good advice
Mm.
because she always knew the right things to say to me without saying anything, if that makes any sense. Like, she would make sure that I'm making the decision on my own. She would just make me think with my soul and my heart, in a way. Um, and I definitely would regret and will regret that she will never meet whoever I settle with and start a family with. And she will, hopefully, I have children, and I'm sad that they will never meet her. Um, but I think, I don't know, I think it's harder for you uh, because obviously dads are supposed to walk daughters down the aisle. So I'm guessing that's one of yours. Do you want to tell me other
Uh,
ones?
it's very interesting to be fair. That is, I remember the first like 2 3 years of like after the event happened really, and like we would be watching, like I would be watching movies with friends, and there would be like exactly a lot of scenes or something with fathers doing something to their kids or helping out or something. And at that time, I was I actually felt more awkward. I hope that people wouldn't think of me like every time someone mentioned a dad. Like I hope that they wouldn't feel awkward because of me. I don't know. It was such a weird thing. Um, but yes, you are right. Actually, I didn't think about it like that until I started therapy. Really. Um, yeah, I realized, oh my god, like I'm not gonna have my dad like in my wedding if I get married. Um, but I think there is another thing that I'm quite sad about is that, oh my god, that I came to study in Wales. It's such a beautiful place. And I really, like, as soon as I was there, I really hoped I could, like, bring my family there for them to experience it as well. And I did. I mean, my mom and my sister came, but I just, I feel really sad that he didn't get to see it, you know? He didn't get to see the world, really. And I actually, I think the day I got the news, um, he's passed away. I went for a walk. You probably know in Pangalais's woods. I went to the viewpoint, and I sat there, and I put like there are those flat rock type formations, and I put them in like a little mountain, and I just sat there and was looking at it and kind of talked to myself, and I said that yeah, I'm just gonna. Oh my god, I'm just crying like crazy. I'm gonna show the world to my dad through my eyes. Because he didn't
That's
get to
very
see it,
beautiful,
so.
though.
So yeah, I think I would say yes. It's definitely like getting married, and my kids not never really knowing him at all. Like, I'll make sure that I'll talk about him and stuff, but like it's just sad to know that they will never know. And
Yeah, it's sad that they will have to learn about him through your memories,
yeah,
not and not get a chance to make memories with him.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And I bet he would have been a very good granddad. So, I guess yeah, those are the things. Or like even I think another thing is like my work. I work in automotive industry, and my dad liked cars. He liked driving a lot. I think we would have had, I don't know, interesting conversations, or like it would be quite cool to talk about it with my dad. So yeah, well, I asked the question and now I'm the one who's crying about it. Sometimes it hits you. It's quite interesting, to be fair. I mean, I guess maybe on some level there are certain questions that I'm used to and that I can answer without really getting sad at all. Or it also depends on the day. But sometimes it's just like you just think about it and you get really sad. It's a very interesting
Yeah.
experience. Ah. Yeah. Crazy. Yeah, you said you told about your last beautiful memory with your grandma. Do you have any? I mean, I know you in previous episode you talked about when she was a teacher and everything, but do you
Yes.
have any other favorite memory with your grandma?
I don't really know. And that is so sad because I feel kind of selfish because she was taken away from me when I was quite young, I'd say. So as a child, I didn't appreciate her enough. I know that as I was growing older, I started appreciating her more because my cousin, as you know, she lived with my grandma. They lived in the same house. And I was once walking back home and I accidentally ran into my grandma and I just saw her and I started bawling my eyes out and I was just hugging her and I couldn't stop crying and I didn't know why I was crying. It was just awful. But it wasn't awful, it was just very bizarre because when I was a teenager, I used to hold all of my like emotions to myself and I wouldn't talk about how I'm feeling or why I'm feeling or I would rarely cry in front of people. So for me to just like completely break down in front of her, it was like a lot. And that was around the time when things got very awkward and very tense in my family. Um, so I wasn't allowed to visit my grandma for like a year or two before I just broke down crying. And as I was crying, she was like calming me down and telling me that it's okay and that she misses me too. And it was just like so lovely. And I remember my cousin was like, "How can you miss her?" And my grandma was like, "She doesn't see me often. Like, if she wants to miss me, she can miss me. It's okay." And I feel like that is like such a weird memory. But in a way, like when I think about that, I feel like she's telling me now, like to my adult me, that like it's okay if I miss her, and it's okay if I need to cry, and it's okay if others don't, because these are my feelings and I'm allowed to feel them. Um, and at that moment in time, I didn't know what was happening, but I feel like now as an adult, that memory is like a very important one to me, because it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to miss somebody, even when, you know, others think it's silly. What about you, Kitty?
Oh my god. um.
I'm sorry, guys, that there's going to be a lot of breaks,
Yeah.
a lot of silence, and a lot of tears and sniffles, but that's just
um.
grief.
That's just yeah. That's just how it is. I don't. Yeah, favorite memory. I'm not sure at the moment, but I think the I talked to my dad like 2 days before he died on like a video call, and I know at that time I also didn't appreciate it really. I did because I was just catching up with my parents, just moved to another country kind of thing. But even then, like it was like like a normal conversation, nothing that special. Oh, dad being dad, and I just remember.
yeah, I guess it's not my favorite memory, but it's just that I saw him. He was tired, and he said, "Oh, he has to go to work again, like tomorrow or the day after, or whatever." And it was just, yeah, thinking about it is very heartbreaking. Um, favorite memory, I would say we used to live really close to a river, relatively close to a river in like nearby national park. And when we were really small, and it was summertime, so we didn't have any school or anything. We would go by the river, and like he would be fishing, and he would make us like our what was it, fishing sticks from scratch for us to fish something as well. Uh, yeah, I think that's quite a nice. So we would be like sitting by the river and kind of fishing. He would actually catch the fish, and me and my sister, I guess not so much. But it was still a very, I don't know, it was a very, back then you don't think about it really. It was just another day, but it was, it was a warm day. It's just good vibes. um, yeah, yeah,
Isn't it like it's sometimes like crazy to think that the days we miss the most are the most mundane days when nothing happened.
yeah,
Like I so wish I could just like sit down, have a cup of tea, a biscuit and a chat. Like that's all I want. You
yeah,
know. I don't need like a crazy adventure or like
yeah.
some a anything fancy. I just want like that's what we miss. Is just like the human.
Yeah, like where they are just being themselves, exactly, like just something
Yes.
like that. Oh, wow, yeah. I don't think anything else comes to my mind. It's like it's a bit of a mixture in my mind because my dad was an alcoholic as well, so I do remember like when I was a lot younger, him being very very drunk, and wasted and just sleeping. But yeah, interesting times.
I remember. I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast yet, um, but because of the like all the tense things happening in my family, and I'm sure I'll speak about it sometime when I'm ready, about like the proper reasons, and it all is gonna make sense one day. Um, but I wasn't like, as I said, really allowed to go to my like grandma's house, and I never knew why, and it just like didn't make sense. But then now, as I've grown older, I understand why it happened and of all of the drama that happened. But I was a nerd in school. Maths was my favorite subject, and somehow I had convinced myself that I don't understand maths anymore. And because my grandma used to be a maths teacher, I convinced my mom. I was like, no, like it's so bad. I don't understand anything. I need like private, like I need somebody to like explain it to me and sit down with me. So I got to like go to my grandma's house and pretend that I didn't understand anything so she could like explain things to me. And it sounds so stupid and so silly, but at that age, at that point in time, I was just craving her, like in like just spending time with her, that I pretended to be stupid. I pretended that I couldn't understand anything just so I could spend more time with her, and she just so she could explain things to me. And I remember I spent like 3 weeks like that, and then a test came, and I obviously aced it because I didn't understand, like I didn't know how to lie on a test. And then my mother was like, "Oh, so you clearly understand it now. You don't need the lessons anymore." But I kept one of the like formulas that she wrote in her handwriting, and I got it tattooed this year because it's been 10 years. So it's like above my heart. And like sometimes, like people look at my tattoo and they're like, "That is such a nerdy and uncool thing," but like that is my favorite piece of my body right now because it's just like my grandma and the connection to it and like the love for art and the desperation just to like see somebody. It just, I don't know, there's a lot of love and a lot of understanding, and it's like a modest love when I think of her because we never like yelled at each other like I love you or like things like that. We just kind of showed it because I would go and visit her and find a reason to visit her, and she would always like make these delicious meals for me and make sure that I was eating because I feel like she knew that I had an eating disorder before I did. So she always kind of like just made sure that I had enough and that I wasn't bullied and that this didn't happen, that didn't happen. Like she cared and she loved, and I feel like that's also like a very silly but a lovely memory.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I think it's a very meaningful memory, really.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, maybe even at that time you didn't realize why you're doing it yourself, but yeah,
yeah,
you were reaching for her. Well, yeah, I think. I mean, we know that these people are proud of us,
yes,
but I think that's also the thing that we're missing. Like, we wish we could get it now in person, like hear it from them. But I do have this one memory from school times uh, when we were doing the mini student company. I was part of like all kinds of volunteering groups and whatnot, and this one time we tried to do like a flash mob or something by the uh, Monument. I don't know if you like
yes.
yeah. So we had to
I remember.
so cool now. The fact that we did that's crazy.
That did
Anyways,
the over school too.
it was literally in the center. Um, anyway, so because I was part of like all kinds of other groups, there was this other youth center that could give us like massive speakers or something, just so we can have the music or something for the background or whatever. And my dad helped us to get them there and back. And I remember after like it all finished and we put the stuff back, and he saw like some of the people. Oh my god. I was kind of interacting on a not daily basis, but every now and then, because I would be going like to after school activities quite a lot. So I would come home relatively late. But my family didn't really know what, like, I told them what I'm doing, that I was volunteering, but they never really, met the people or anything. So this was like first time, I think, for my dad seeing what kind of people they are. And in the car, he said that oh my god, that he always knew that I'm like around good people, and that I don't know, he said that he's proud of me, but he said it in some shape or form that kind of meant that. So yeah, I think him saying those things in the car is now what I try to like remember when I need to feel like he's proud of me.
He is proud of you though. See, I knew that we're gonna record this episode and I knew it's gonna be hard, but I didn't think it would be this hard.
Yeah. Me neither. I thought I might, every like get close to crying, but not
Yeah,
really
because I
cry.
put the tissues next to me as like a joke, and that I'm actually having to use them because I can't stop crying. It's a bit ridiculous.
Oh, but yes, I feel like yeah, I don't know if it makes sense to anyone else or if we are explaining it clear enough. These are some of the things that we experience with grief, really. With, well, specifically to losing family members.
Is there anything that you do, any rituals that you do to help you with your grief, like when you're thinking about your dad?
Well, I guess the first thing I did, when I got the news, I just went for a walk. I wanted to be outside, crying. Um, then I would write in my journal. I wouldn't write to him, I would just write to myself, kind of thing, just kind of uh, writing my thoughts down about the situation. I was definitely very shocked in my journal as well. But then, yeah, I would say when I was in very beautiful places, I would kind of like remember of him. The fact that I said you're seeing like the world through my eyes. And then when I started therapy, that I think that was the time that I realized that I felt like I didn't really do anything, I didn't really think about it. I was like until I couldn't, then I would be just sad and a bit depressed. But I wouldn't really do much about it. But then when I started my therapy, I realized I had this little thing back home I did. I would go to a meadow and while I'm walking my dog and I would start talking to myself in English because I really needed to practice English. I wanted to like get it as good as possible in preparation for some exams, I think. Anyways, because I was doing that, I remember I really enjoyed talking to myself. I was like, it was just such a good, and I hadn't done it in ages. Like, well, because mostly there's no space in the UK that feels like you're just alone. You don't want to be talking to yourself when someone's walking around you. But anyways, yeah, this after some therapy, I decided to go for a walk or like to shop or something, and it was relatively dark outside, and I felt a bit unsafe. And I saw some people walking towards me, and I wanted to pretend that I'm on a phone call. So I took a phone and decided to talk to my dad. you know, I held my phone as if I'm on a phone and started talking, just so it looks like I'm talking to someone. I don't know. And I talked to my dad, yeah. And then every now and then I would do that. I haven't done that now in a while, but I would go to like a small park, and if no one's there, then maybe like talk to him a little bit. Or write, yeah, writing in my journal is probably a big thing. Um, Last year, yeah, I just took like a day and just wrote stuff that makes me, that why like, what am I most sad about that he's gone, and what I miss and whatnot. So yeah, I'd say that's really it. What about you?
Um, I don't think I actually have like anything of that sort. I'm not the best at dealing with my emotions. What I do tend to do is write poems about my feelings. Um, and as I said, I usually tend to write one like for my grandma for her like birthday, because I associate her death with her birthday nowadays. So I'm more sad on her birthday because that's when she like started kind of dying in a very weird and fucked up way. Um, but yes, so I just write poems, and then if I feel very very sad and very in my feelings, I might light a candle and just listen to music and just think about her and all of the like just let the crying happen, let it all out, and yes. Or sometimes oh, this is gonna sound silly. Sometimes I just do maths quizzes. Because I love maths and she loved maths, because otherwise she wouldn't be a maths teacher, and it just makes me feel connected and it kind of cheers me up, and yeah, it's silly, but it helps me.
I think it's fun. It's very, it's a unique thing to do. To kind
Yeah.
of remember the person or like connect to the person or whatever. Lighting candles is also, yeah, I definitely do that, on my dad's birthday or, yeah, on his death anniversary. Do people say that? I don't know. But weirdly enough, I don't think, I didn't plan it to be, but I think when I'm listening to like some Latvian music, that hits me for some reason. And well, it could be all kinds of things. And it doesn't have to be just my dad, it could be, missing home and stuff. But yeah, sometimes if I listen to some like Latvian folk songs, like the traditional outside disco things.
Yeah. For me, it's with like scents sometimes because French lilacs are my favorite scent, and like I've only so far found one bush in Aber that is actually French lilacs, but they're like in a private property, so there's no chance I can go up to them and actually sniff them. But I remember I was going on one of my like evening walks to ground myself and calm myself down and just clear my head, and I was crossing the street and there were no French lilac bushes nearby whatsoever. And I suddenly just smelt them. And it made me think of my grandma straight away because she had so many bushes around her house. And I don't know if that's the reason why I love French lilacs so much, but I suddenly smelt them out of nowhere and it just made me think of her. It felt like she was there for a second in a
Mm.
very weird way, but I didn't feel alone anymore. And I was like, oh, and it almost made me cry because suddenly, for some odd reason, I thought I could smell them.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful though. That is beautiful. It's very, yeah. Oh yeah, I think on Instagram I made a reel with a video where you can see a little bit of rainbow, and I don't think I just yeah I feel like rainbows. I just really love rainbows. They're such beautiful things, and sometimes I just take it, just like a nice little sign. I'm like, oh, it's a beautiful time, it's just so beautiful. I enjoy it. But sometimes I would think, oh yeah, it might be, sent by someone to me, like
Yeah.
some sort of a communication, um, in my mind. Um, so yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Is there anything you would like to say to your dad right now if you could? Or is there anything you would want him to say to you?
Good question. I I don't know. I don't think. Oh my god. I would just want to hug him. I think that's it.
To be honest, I think I understand because if I saw my grandma, I don't think words would be coming out. It would just be tears and sniffles and yeah, nothing would come out.
Yeah. It's very interesting that I think it was either a couple months ago, I saw my dad in my dream, and that hasn't happened before ever, like ever. I rarely really see people's faces. I just kind of feel their presence, but I think this one time it was just a regular dream. Nothing's like out of ordinary. But all of a sudden I see my dad, and I know that in my dream I'm shocked that I'm seeing him. I'm like, what? Like, what are you doing here? Like, what are you like? What's happening? It was such a weird experience. I know I was so shocked that I was like weirded out because I like in my dream I didn't understand what was happening until it was kind of brushed off. Oh yeah, he was just away for a little bit or something. So in my dream I calmed down, but wow, that was like poof. That's very, yeah. unique experience. We didn't talk. I don't remember talking much. Or I don't remember. He was probably just saying some of the phrases. That's all I remember. But yeah. So yeah, I don't think saying. Yeah, I don't think there's anything specific. I mean, yes, I would like to tell him that I love him. But like just as we know, Latvians don't really say that, so it would be. I mean, I would be able to do that now. I think I wouldn't find it as weird. But yeah,
Yes.
what about you?
I don't know. I would like to say something so just she would know how much I appreciated and appreciate her still. Um, and obviously, I'd love to tell her that I love her and that she means a lot to me. But then again, if she saw me, I have her handwriting tattooed on me. I think she would have a clue. But I guess I would like to tell her that she was a great grandma and an amazing human, and that her life was worth it, and that I'm glad that she was my grandma in a way. I don't know, like it sounds so cheesy, but I just would want her to know. I would want her to know how big of an impact she like has made, and how that impact is a good impact, and that my life is better because I knew her. And I don't know. I just think, yeah, I don't know. Because obviously, sadly, I don't know much about her, and I can't remember much about her. Um, and I know like facts like, oh, her favorite color was green, and she loved plants, and she hated lilies, and that's like she was a maths teacher, but I think that's all I can remember, and like that makes me so upset. So that I just would want her to know that whatever she went through, because she had a rough childhood, because her mother died when she was 7 years old, and she never knew her father, and it's just like she went through a lot, and I would just like her to know that all of the suffering and pain that she went through, she still came out like a very nice and loving person, and that's something I aspire to be every day. I feel like I'm just waffling now.
No, you're not. It was so. That is, yeah, that is a very.
It's very hard to explain,
Yeah, it's a very.
like what I'm trying to
No, but I
put
think
into words.
I got the message though.
Okay, that's good.
That was very beautiful and loving. Like, yeah, showing the appreciation, showing and saying, being thankful for what she has done and what my dad has done, and just their existence, really, right? Like, without them, we wouldn't be. So.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, well, I think with that we can move to other types of grief, I guess. I think it was a beautiful. We've talked for almost an hour, just about our experiences. I think it was. I mean, sorry. It still is a very therapeutic way. Maybe we should do that more often. Just sometime just talk about all about that, and that's it. Just kind of let it flow in
Yes.
the air.
Yes. Because although it's obviously a very sad topic, and it's grief, it's painful. It just, I don't know, talking about them and hearing you talk about your dad, it just kind of fills me with like so much love. Although it's a sad love, it's still love.
Yeah.
Because it just shows how much love they put into us, that after they're gone, just like speaking about them, love is like that is all that comes out. It's just love. There's no hard feelings. There's just love and joy and happiness. And if there's sadness, that's just because we're kind of being selfish and being like, how did you leave us? Like,
Yeah,
I wish I
yeah.
could have you forever. So
I do
I
think
think
about
it's-
it sometimes that yeah, the grief it's actually about us feeling bad for ourselves that we're not gonna have these people in our lives in these certain situations.
yes, like obviously I guess in your case with your dad, it's a bit more sad because he died when he was like still young and he still had so much life ahead of him. So I'm sad for that for him. But for my grandma, she was 73 and like she started giving up herself and she kept telling us that she's ready to die. And I so to me it's just I don't know because my grandpa also died when he was 73. To me
Oh,
in my head now it just means that's it. Like that's the end.
73 is it?
Yeah, like in my head, I don't think I'm gonna make it past that magical age because of coincidence. But yeah, but for your dad, it's like I because I remember when he died, I was living with your family. I was so shocked and so sad because I was like, he's still so young. There's still so much life ahead of him. He was like just halfway there.
Yes,
I was
that is
crazy.
hard hitting. Like the fact, I think he was 38 when he died. So that is another thing that hits me deep when I think about it, that there is going to be time in my life that I would have lived longer than he did.
Yes.
Oh. So yeah, that is sad. Also the fact that he always I mean his death was tragic. That's the thing, we didn't expect it. Like it was just out of nowhere. So like it's almost yeah, but he would always he would joke that we would live till 120.
If only.
Yeah. I feel robbed of 120 experience.
I feel like my chest hurts because of so much sadness.
I don't hate crying, but the thing that I hate what happens when I'm crying. My nose gets closed, and I don't like breathing through my own mouth. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's so annoying.
Do you have any closing thoughts or anything you want to say about grief and life beyond it?
I feel like in the last 5 and so years, I have learned that everyone everyone experience grief differently. There are some things that we feel similarly. Like there will be similar themes, I guess, of what's happening in a person's life when they lose someone or lose friendships or relationships or whatever. Like it doesn't even have to be losing a person, like because they died. And yeah, well, from my experience, you can't avoid it. It will catch up on you eventually. Or it will go through you in one way or another. Yeah, and it's either you accept it or you don't know what's happening, I guess. Life beyond it. Well, it does seem like time does heal as well. It's
on one hand, it feels like that my dad passed away only like, I don't know, like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, but it's been already 5 years. Um, but at the same time, it doesn't feel the same as it did in the first few years, you know. And also, because I have another friend who lost her mom, and I saw her doing so much with her mom, kind of like, because she lost her mom and she really loved her. There were so many, I guess, so many like little routines or things that she was doing, kind of with like for mother, like for remembering her and whatnot. And I realized I'm not like I didn't do that. I wasn't like that, and I still am not really like that. And at that time, I felt a bit weird. Like I felt like, is there something wrong with me? Like why? Like why am I like? Did I not love my dad like that? Like what's the dealio? Um, and I think now I have the understanding and um self support that it's not the case. Like we all are different, and it doesn't matter. Like you do you, and it's all good as long as you feel like as long as you feel good about it. Don't compare how others are doing it. Find your way, or don't. There doesn't have to be a way. Like yeah, I think that's it for me. Do you have some closing words?
Um, I would definitely say that if you feel grief, feel it. Don't try to oppress it, because nothing good ever comes out of hiding your feelings, hiding your emotions, and pretending that you're okay. Um, and I wouldn't say that it gets better. It kind of doesn't. It just, you get used to the thought that they're not here anymore, that something has happened, and as I said before, you just get used to hurting and thinking about them, and but you just have to remind yourself that you're hurting because there was so much love and so much happiness, and feeling grief, I think, is good, because that means there was so much good and so much, as I said, yeah, so much happiness, that you're just missing that, because you know you won't ever gain that with the same person anymore. Um, but I just had the weirdest thought. In 5 years, I will have lived half as long without my grandma
Oh my god, yeah.
as I would have without her.
Oh
And
my
it's
god.
just crazy, because obviously for a lot of people, it would be the same. And it just like, I don't know, that thought alone, it just like wrecked me.
Yeah. Oh my, I know this came to me I think last October as well. I was like, when I'm gonna be 36. No. Yeah, when I'm gonna be 36, it means I would have lived half of my life with my dad and half of my life without my dad. That's
Yeah,
insane.
that is crazy.
That is hard to understand. Like,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. I
Plus,
think,
it feels like, obviously the first years, it doesn't really feel like they count,
yeah,
because
because
we
we
can't
didn't,
remember
yeah,
like up to like age of like what, 5, 6.
yeah.
So it's just ridiculous. It's crazy. But yeah, that is my my closing statement for
Statement.
grief.
Oh, there was another thought that came to my mind is that I see on like social media sometimes that some people almost expect you to get over it at some point.
Yeah.
And well, there is no time limit.
No.
It will never be over. Like, and that is perfectly fine. I think that is perfectly fine. The people who haven't lost anyone, well, they just have to deal with it. Really, it's like it's not
Yes.
nothing.
And
Like it's not for them. If you don't like
yes,
it, just
yes,
walk away.
exactly.
Like I don't know. Like
And I feel like even if you do get over it, or if you feel like you're over it, there's gonna be like in 5 or 10 years, you're gonna be like, oh, actually,
Yeah.
that hurts.
Mm.
I've actually never been over it. I just haven't let myself think about it, or I haven't understood it yet. Same with my grandpa. I thought, yeah, it didn't matter to me. I was over it. And then I spoke about it in therapy last year, and I was like, oh my god, this hurts. I feel so guilty. But then again, everybody deals with grief differently, and if you dealt with grief one way once, it doesn't mean that you're gonna deal with it the same way next time.
Yes, yes, that's it. That is exactly. And I think one thought that helps me, I don't know, kind of inspires me is, I guess, the people we've lost, they would have wanted us to live our best lives. Like, they would have wanted us to be
Yes.
happy.
And they, as long as we're alive and we think of them, they keep on living with us. And the more stories we tell about them, and the more people we like introduce to the idea of them, to the memories of them, the longer they'll live too. And I feel like that is beautiful as well. So to me, like, as long as I'm alive, my grandma will be alive, and as long as you're alive, your dad will be alive, and that is just beautiful.
Yeah.
It means like they never really properly die.
They're still somewhere. Well, to be fair, it means they are within us, which they
Yes.
are. Beautiful. Wow. Well, this is a long episode.
Thank
But-
you for listening as always.
Yeah, but we expected this to be a lot longer, to be honest. So,
Yes.
I'm not too fussed about it, to be fair. So, it was nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. See you guys later. Bye
See
bye.
ya. Bye.